Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of The Weekly with me, Neff, and I have some special guests today with us. We are going to be talking about Superman and the future of the DCU. Yes, everything. Obviously, you know Superman just released. We are in the second week of release, and my guests today are going to be Commander Sad Hobo and Noveske. So let's jump into it, guys. Let's start with Noveske here. Big DCU fan at this point in time. We like what James Gunn is doing with Superman. Everybody at this table has watched Superman on that opening weekend. We think the future is bright for this. Obviously, David Zaslav is happy with what James Gunn is doing. There is a 10-year plan enacted, and Noveske is not only into what James Gunn is doing with the cinematic universe for DC, but is into the comic books as well. So, sir, please tell us what you thought about the film and kind of what you expect moving forward. And we can break things up, but just general thoughts.
Well, I mean, I think the movie itself it did what it needed to do. It doesn't need to be groundbreaking. It doesn't need to be that 11 out of 10 that people are expecting. But it was a good launching place for this, because it's like if you kind of have, it sounds strange, but it's like if you have a 7 out of 10, you have room to grow.
Right.
So it's like they did what they needed to do. I really liked I like the characters. Like, we saw a lot of really interesting traits that would be interesting to just grow off of.
Right.
Like Clark was great. Lois was great. Mr. Terrific was great. I want to see a lot more of Guy Gardner. That'll be funny. I'm excited.
I cannot wait for Lanterns.
Yeah, Lanterns will be
because Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner is going to be a part of that. So very interesting how they tackle that. To me, when I'm looking at Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, something that I think a lot of people miss. Either they're missing it on purpose or they're just not aware. This is supposed to be a comic book movie, literally live action comic book. So yeah, it's going to look very comic bookish, and I feel like Guy Gardner looks very comic bookish. Going to be very interesting to see how he ties in with the Lanterns, which seems more grounded and modern. That doesn't look very comic bookish at all, so I think that's going to be a very interesting pairing, and I wonder how much he's actually going to be involved.
And I mean, that's kind of an interesting point too. So it's like I watched Creature Commandos. It kind of had it had its own kind of comic book moments, but it also got kind of dark. Lots of deaths. A lot of people died. But it's it still kind of kept genuine to DC Comics. So it's it doesn't have to be this crazy, lighthearted, or some people are calling it corny.
Right.
I think they can have that kind of variance where it's with Lanterns, if it's, if they want to keep it more grounded, kind of more like a buddy cop movie or like a passing of the torch movie, I think that could work. It's it can be a little bit more on the quote-unquote realism side of things, which is kind of silly with Lanterns, but I think it'll do fine,
Good shit. What do you think, Commander, we're just going to go with Commander for short, right? What do you think about Superman in general, and then what do you think about Lanterns as well? And then I want to tap into Peacemaker Season 2, because I know you did watch Peacemaker Season 1.
Yeah.
And I know you did watch, Noveske, you watched Peacemaker Season 1, and you're very excited for Season 2, correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So let's hear what you got to say, Commander, about Superman, Lanterns, and then we'll jump into Peacemaker.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do. It was, I enjoyed it. Superman was much more grounded as a person. He felt more like a normal person being Superman.
I like that.
More human, and they really leaned into that, but he really was.
Yeah. I like that angle. People don't say that much. They'll complain about other things, but they don't talk about how he was more actually human in this, right? And so I think that's a different element. He always has a human element with his character because he's really stuck in between being someone that he knows internally that he is an alien, but he has to blend as well. So it's part of his cover, but even with that being said, he's still showing elements of being more of a human person. Even with the dialogue in the beginning, I thought it should have been cut short with him and Lois Lane, but that's showing a human element to the character. Because really, if he was someone that didn't even understand what she was saying, he wouldn't even engage in that conversation. You see what I mean? He clearly understood her angle. He said he had a different angle in which he was seeing the situation, and so they had their spat. But once again, like Commander's saying, it gave him more human element, and that's just one part of the film. He had this human element in multiple parts of the film. The squirrel. There's a lot of humans that wouldn't even save a squirrel.
So, I mean, what was really
Yeah.
cool about it, too, is, like, that main speech with Lex towards the end of the movie, like, when he's actually in the office, spoilers, of
Right.
course. He's just saying, like, I wake up every day, I try my best every day, I make mistakes every day, like, he's human. So
Right.
they really sent that home. Like, I think that was the big difference between Corin Sweat and, Man of
Cavill?
Steel, Cavill.
Yeah.
Cavill kind of had, God complex doesn't
Rigid?
fit.
He was just like angry Superman. He was just always mad, and
He's like the scary dad you don't want to talk to all the time. Where it's like, okay, how you doing today? Are you mad? What's going on?
I can't gauge it.
Yeah, it's like I can't. It's like whenever I saw him, like even in Justice League, where it's like he was evil for like 3/4 of the, So it's like okay. Like, is it Superman? Like, we're a little shaky. Can't really trust him a whole lot. So it's.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Commander. Now, what else did you like about the film as far as maybe you could even talk about the character of Superman even more if that's a little easier before we even get into anybody else? Because obviously there's a plethora of characters, and I do think James Gunn did a good job of balancing them all out. But let's get through Kal-El's stuff, and then we'll jump to other characters if you want.
all right, yeah. With Kal-El, there's some things I didn't like.
Yeah.
We're talking about spoilers.
Yeah, man, you can
All
say
right.
whatever you
But,
want.
I honestly did not really like the whole his parents' message being bad. I know.
I've heard
I
people
know it's
say
been
that.
playing over and over, like all the good way,
Right.
all the other Supermans, but like that's the one part I didn't really care for.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
What did you think about Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl?
The other characters I thought were pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Terrific, I was glad he got like an awesome scene.
Yeah,
He was
for
allowed.
sure.
He was allowed to be badass because he
Yeah.
is. He's a very intellectual character. He's one of the smartest people in the DC universe. So it's cool to see him actually live action and done very well.
Yeah.
Especially glad whenever he got out of his chair.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I actually liked, side note, with that Mr. Terrific thing going on there, because we are talking about spoilers, I liked how they took Lois Lane out of her comfort zone of just being someone that's a journalist, and she was actually in on the action. I thought that was a very good way of doing that without it seeming too, what do they say? It's girl boss. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, nah, she was actually complimenting, right? And she had her own part. So I really did like that they found a way to do that, because what that does is it kind of changes how you look at Lois Lane.
I mean, I think if they went full Flashpoint with it, there might be some hesitancy, where it's like she's not like in the middle of these conflicts. She's not like super deep in like the craziness that's going on.
She's on the outside.
I think it was a very good complimentary role. I liked it. I thought it was good. Nothing was too much. Nothing was absurd, like insane craziness. Like it was a very level, grounded
made
movie.
sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
So we'll go through our rating real quick, and then we'll jump into Peacemaker. So I personally gave Superman an 8 out of 10. Let's hear yours, Noveske.
So I'm definitely biased when it comes to the comics and like my outlook on how these movies kind of are. It's like I'm feeling a little bit of the kind of burnout on Marvel. So this was kind of refreshing for me. I like that it did touch more of the comic book material. So I was a little higher. I'm maybe the 8.5, maybe approaching the 9. It definitely had flaws in it, but what I saw, I really liked.
Very good. And Commander, what do you give this movie? The Commander rating.
yeah, the Commander rating, I do a rating out of 5. So this is it was pretty hard because 3 is like I'll just watch it once ever. 4 is like I might watch it a couple times. Yeah. I don't know if I will see this again, so I'm leaning a little bit more towards 3. But it did really hit the points and all the characters as well.
Would you say that you're excited to see kind of what they do with the rest of this universe? In
Oh, yeah.
particular, this one?
Yeah, I'm definitely
Interesting.
excited for everything. They built up a lot of characters. I mean, the Lanterns in general. They have so
You
much
could talk about
good
that
lore.
if
Yeah, so to bring Guy Gardner in, are they going to go the route with the Red Ring with him? I in general want to see the Red Lanterns
Yep.
with him, and even Supergirl. Supergirl actually had a red ring for a while. So I'd love to see that in this universe.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to tap into that with Supergirl as well. That's a good point. Any other Lantern stuff you want to talk about? You could just go in if you want.
Yeah, just that.
What would you want to see? I'll get you a question. What would you want to see as far as Lanterns, the TV show, and possibly what they would do with the cinematic universe if they tap into that?
The Lanterns universe, because the Lanterns actually have like really good deep lore. Some of the best, in my opinion, some of the best comic book stories involve the Lanterns, bringing everybody else in. The Darkest Night. It'd be sick to see normal heroes actually get the Lantern rings. Because there are stories that happened. Batman got the yellow ring. Mm-hmm. That was sick. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see all that come to life.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so let's move over to Peacemaker right now. We'll start with Noveske here. What are you expecting for Peacemaker Season 2, especially in continuation from Season 1 and his cameo in Superman?
So I think Peacemaker is kind of James Gunn's wheelhouse. Like, he does that so well, where it's like, if you can take if you can take an ensemble and then kind of give them a little bit of that, not quite childish humor, not quite super inappropriate, but just right that there's like a nice pocket of just, okay, we're having fun here. Like, I'm pretty excited for Peacemaker Season 2, so I watched that trailer. We're getting excited. I'm pretty stoked, honestly.
What do you think, sir?
Man, I can't wait for Peacemaker Season 2. Season 1 was so great. I don't normally watch trailers, so I won't be watching the trailer for Peacemaker.
Right.
But I'm definitely in already. It's going to be great.
What do you guys rate Peacemaker Season 1 on a scale of 1 to 10? And then it will be him 1 to 5.
I mean, Peacemaker Season 1, it was kind of a surprise to me. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be, anything crazy. So, like, if I give it a 7 out of 10, I mean, like, I thought the story was good. It was kind of more like Superman, where it's like I really liked the characters and I wanted to see more. The story itself, I thought it was good. It worked. It was serviceable. But it's like the characters and the personalities were enough to where I wanted to see development, where it's like, so now with this becoming canon in the DCU, I'm really excited to see what they do.
They get the keys to open it up now.
Exactly. They're going to have fun.
Dope.
Yeah, and I agree. It was pretty much the same thing. It was completely underrated. I didn't expect this. And John Cena just acted his ass off. He did so goddamn well.
Yeah.
And the way him and Vigilante, they're great. They work so damn well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much unexpected. I would give this a little bit higher. I'd say probably 4, because I can definitely watch this again.
4 out of 5. Wow, nice. I like that. That's a good place to be at going into Peacemaker Season 2 after Superman. Now, obviously, like I said, I gave Superman an 8 out of 10. Solid work from James Gunn. A lot of the gripes that I see are nitpicks, to be quite honest. Doesn't take away from the movie too much, just a way to differentiate it from every other Superman we've seen. And before I saw Superman, like I told you guys on the weekly, I watched Superman 1978. So when you're talking about cinematic Superman universe lore, we got that right there. Obviously, everybody here is pretty much into comic books. I literally physically have The Death of Superman. So you're talking about a numbered comic from 1992, 93, depending on the edition you got, over $5,000 in value, basically untouched in plastic. So we know what we're talking about here, ladies and gents, but very excited to see what's going on here because I do like that it is a comic book-ish movie. There is a stark difference between Superman and Batman. I like the Batman. The Batman is honestly probably the best movie I've seen in the last 3 years when it comes to how I rate films. Now, the Batman and Superman are supposed to be 2 different characters. The Batman and Superman are not supposed to blend together. Yes, they're in the same universe. Gotham and Metropolis are pretty close in proximity, but there's a stark difference in how the characters act, the tone, and everything that goes on in the separate cities. And so I like the direction we're going in. I've talked to Noveske offline about a couple things as far as how we should approach the DCU. I think James Gunn's going to do whatever he wants, him and Peter Safran, but I am not opposed to 3 different universes that actually don't coincide. Once again, you're looking at recency bias, what people remember from the last time they saw these films. I do believe superhero fatigue has set in. Can it be reversed? It can be, but it's going to take a lot of good films over a solid amount of time. And I think right now to be jumping into Justice League, and I'm jumping the gun here by, no pun intended, I'm jumping the gun here and saying that a Justice League is going to be happening. But we talked about this on the weekly, I think it was earlier last week or this week, about how that is more than likely going to be within their 10-year plan, right? Obviously, the financials have to work out, the products have to happen. We don't want it to become a Marvel thing where you have someone on stage letting you know we have this, and this coming out, and then it just doesn't come to fruition. It's not really good for the optics, right? So, like I said, I don't want it to go into a Justice League situation, to be quite honest. Me and Noveske have talked about absolute Wonder Woman. I think that is an option. Obviously, Batman and Matt Reeves is in Elseworld, and then you can have James Gunn's Superman universe. You can have that completely different. You kind of focus on the Kryptonians and everything that's a little lighter-hearted. As far as absolute Wonder Woman, I think you could call that like Outworld or something like that. Think of Wonder Woman and God of War clashes together. That's what we have there. I think it's different enough that where people will not actually judge it off it being somewhat a classic rendition of Wonder Woman, and they'll actually give it a chance. Something with more edge, something a little darker. You can call it Metal Wonder Woman, and then you have Elseworld Batman, which is already set up. I think James Gunn should let Matt Reeves have the reins to that and let him do whatever he wants. He obviously has the Batman, made over $780 million. The Penguin has done good, 24 nominations at the Emmys. I think they need to fast track season 2 for the Penguin. I think that's just smart. And then they can just build out. Now, Clayface is going to be interesting. We'll see where that aligns, but we will have to see. But I really want to see 3 different universes that really never coincide, because I don't feel like they need to coincide for success at this point. And once again, it makes it different from everything else you've seen. All the time we see this with all these comic book characters. We have to blend it. We have to have the multiverse. We got to have all these guys on screen together. We have to have the ensemble. You don't have to do that anymore. I think you can build up 3 different universes. I think it can make sense. And that's just how I see it. But like I said, as far as Superman, good start. I want to see Supergirl out of curiosity. I think that's going to be the actual real test for DC. I think Lanterns is going to be a good show. I like the cast, right? You got Hal Jordan, you got Jon Stewart, Kyle Chandler, and Aaron Pierre. And obviously Nathan Fillion's going to be making an appearance. I think that's going to be very good. I think that comes out sometime next year. And then Peacemaker, obviously, with these 2 guys. They've watched Peacemaker. I have not seen it. The scenes I have seen, I think they're funny. I think it's going to be a show that almost doesn't take itself too serious either, although there's going to be some undertones of seriousness. And I think it's going to be something that adds on to Superman and complements it leading into Lanterns, because that's really the next project that we have. And then from Lanterns, I believe it's going to be Supergirl, and then from there on out, we'll have to see what the schedule aligns with. Obviously, a lot of things have to be shot, and so we're going on from there. But we talked about Superman, we talked about Lanterns, we talked about the characters in Superman and how they actually complement him, Kal-El, that is. And then you guys want to talk about Kara Zor-El making an appearance in Superman at the end? What do you think about that? Do you think that was the way to do it? Did you want to see her in a different capacity? I thought it was actually fitting how she came in.
I mean, I think it was fitting. The only thing that I could see probably it could be an issue is like, so in that comic, Woman of Tomorrow, where it very much leans into Kara just kind of not knowing who she is. She's kind of finding herself, like she's a mess, kind of like how they're saying, but it's like, if that isn't known, seeing her how she is at the end of Superman might be a little confusing, a little jarring, where it's like, what's going on here? That was a weird exchange, Thanks for watching my dog, bitch. But, good times.
Yeah. What did you think about that, Commander?
I really hope, like he was going for, it's basically, I hope they do really well character development for her, and to have her actually be like a great Supergirl.
Yeah, I want to see a difference between the 2. I think they set it up well with Kal-El. I think with Kara Zor-El, I think this needs to be, obviously, I think it's going to be more edgy just off her dialogue alone. I don't want it to lean into, there's 2 types of edgy. There's edgy where it's dark and it can kind of make people like uncomfortable, but it's very artistic. And then there's edgy where the language is just crazy and it's like, this is a comic book movie? What's going on there? And they kind of treaded the line in Superman, but it also made it a movie where people will say, oh, this is like a kid's movie, but there's like a lot of things that happen in the movie that aren't kids' topics or kids' type of material. So I think with Supergirl, if they can figure out a good balance with that, like I said, I thought it was kind of funny just how she was approaching the whole situation when she shows up. It's like, yeah, thanks for watching my dog, dude. You know what I mean? I thought that was good, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean I want to watch a whole Supergirl with that type of humor. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. But I'm just saying, gauge it, right, and then move forward with the writing. Obviously, this film's already shot. We know that Millie Alcock is playing Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. And then we know that our boy, my man, Jason Momoa, is playing Lobo. And so that's going to be very interesting as well. It's probably the easiest casting ever. And actually, I have to credit Jason Momoa and James Gunn for coming together and allowing Jason Momoa to come into another role in this new DCU. I think that's like good sportsmanship because he had Aquaman, and I believe Aquaman 2 even made money, but Aquaman made $1 billion. And so it's cool to see him come back, even if it's a minor role. And I actually saw an interview earlier with James Gunn speaking on if they're going to bring Henry Cavill back, and he thought he'd be open to that idea. So I think James Gunn is playing very fairly right now. Obviously, we don't know what's going on with the inner workings of a lot of these projects, but if we're talking about from the outside looking in, it seems like he's being fair with this. He don't think Henry Cavill got a good shake, fair shake. Obviously, you have to reboot it. You have to reboot it to make it yours, right? So James Gunn was never going to keep Henry Cavill as Superman. That's just business. But I think Warner Brothers kind of mishandled how they communicated moving forward. And he actually says that in an interview. So that's a pretty good interview as well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested. But any other thoughts on kind of Superman right now or anything else?
I mean, I like what they're doing. I think Supergirl. I'm really excited to see Supergirl. Like, let's
How
be
would you
real.
gauge your excitement as far as Superman and Supergirl? About the same, a little more for Supergirl?
If anything, I think before seeing Superman, I was very much looking forward to Supergirl. I thought that was going to have a little bit more edge, a little bit more flavor. But after seeing Superman, like, I think that's what we needed. Like, we need just a strong baseline. Like, we need a genuinely good moral character, and then it's like, let's see how everyone else behaves. It's like we have this. It's like this perfect, like, it's weird to say like perfect moral being, but it's like we have like a genuine good, and then it's like we can see how other people bounce off this character. We can see how other people would handle similar situations. So it's I'm glad that we got Superman first, and then now,
Yeah, that makes sense.
now I say they kind of let's
Talked about
let's
the
play
four
with
pillars, right? Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Supergirl.
Yes.
So those are going to be the four pillars, and then they're going to break off with everything else and build it into, I guess, the zeitgeist. You know what I mean, of what they want to do with this. So yeah, what do you think, the Commander?
All right, yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to all this. There's so much lore that they can take and use forward. It'd be great. Really looking forward to how, really, you're saying how they play off of each other. Because, you got this pillar that's awesome. Like basically like Captain America, it's the hero that's always going to be the hero no matter what.
Right.
And see how these other people fit in with them. And so I'm looking forward. I'm hopeful, but I know from Marvel, just keep expectations down until we see it.
Yep, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, 100%. What else? Let's talk about the Batman too. Noveske, what do you think about that? Obviously, the script has been turned in. James Gunn says it's good.
The Batman 2, I don't think we have to worry about the Batman 2.
Not at all.
Like, after watching, of course, the Batman, that was, whoa. Like, that was something way unexpected. Like, it looked dark, it looked gritty, but you could pause that movie at any time, and it's very, like, those stills are amazing. Like, when it comes to the filming, the cinematography, that was wild. Some very next-level stuff. And then even taking it, like, to a TV show, like, The Penguin was great.
Carries over.
I think The Penguin was probably one of my favorite shows that's come out near here.
That came out
recent
24,
history.
right?
I think so. Yeah.
The Penguin was the best show that came out in 2024.
Yeah, and it's like with all those nominations, like it's getting awards this year. Like,
Solidified.
no problem.
Yep. Yeah, I'm very excited for the Batman Part 2. Obviously, the setting is supposed to be set in the winter. It could change. I'm really interested in what Matt Reeves is doing with this. This is definitely going to be a very pivotal film. Obviously, it's the second film in this franchise. Who knows if we get 3? I think we should get 3. I'd love it, to be quite honest. Batman's my favorite character. And overall, just very excited about the news of it actually being turned in as far as the script goes. Definitely a long time coming for Batman fans, and something that should have happened a couple years back. But regardless of what was going on in Matt Reeves' personal life, I'm just glad that they got to the point where they're actually turning in the script, and it looks like this film is going to be greenlit for production from here on out, and we can get cameras rolling. Like I said, as far as the details, no one really has the details yet. We can only speculate just off basic things we've heard about the setting. Obviously, we've talked about the Joker. We've talked about the Penguin doing well. Colin Farrell reprising his role as the Penguin, right? What happens with Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, right? What happens with all of these characters, even Commissioner Gordon? What role is he going to play in this? The Court of Owls, Mr. Freeze. I think there's just a lot of different angles you can go into. And obviously, when you're thinking the Batman now in contemporary times, you're comparing it to Nolan's The Batman, right? 3 films, obviously tough to grade right now because there's only 1 film from Matt Reeves, but I do think this film has the potential to match The Dark Knight or even surpass The Dark Knight. And if Matt Reeves can do that, he just solidified himself once again. Did great with the Planet of the Apes, but Batman's a whole nother ballgame. When you can do that with Batman, you're solidifying yourself. And I think, it's an interesting position to be in for James Gunn because with the Batman and Matt Reeves, he wins either way. Just let Matt Reeves do what he needs to do. And that's when the executives step back, even though James Gunn is pretty much like a creative and executive hat at the same time. But I feel like Matt Reeves should just take over Elseworld. I'd give him that whole little sector right there. That's just my opinion on it. Can't wait to see this movie. We're about, I'd say, 2 years away from it, so it's going to be a long wait. But the information is going to be plentiful when it comes to the Batman Part 2. So we covered Superman, we covered Peacemaker, we covered Lanterns, we covered a little bit of Supergirl, obviously early as far as promotion. They just put out the poster for that. Very simple poster, but it lets you know what's going on here. Not look up, look out, right? Wonder what's in that cup, maybe some tequila. But I don't know. You got something, Noveske?
So I kind of want to will this into existence. Like
Yes.
let's get crazy for a second here. So this Absolute Universe is killing it. These comics are selling like crazy, like lots of creative ideas, lots of new things. Kind of to go off of your Elseworld, like 3 universe type thing. Like realistically, the Absolute Universe, I think, would do really well animated. Like if they were to do this in the style of Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like, you kind of have some of that fantastical, but you
Good
can
point.
you can make this thing
man.
dark.
You could do
That'd
so
be
much
awesome.
more.
That would be something else. And it's like it could be something that could be done kind of on the cheap. You're telling new stories. They don't have to risk a whole lot into it, and it's like they can. It's like they're building a fan base. They really like this Absolute Universe, so I think it's that would be easy money.
I really like that angle. They could do the Killer of Killers angle, where it ties in, but since it's animated, you have a lot of play there. I feel like psychologically when someone's watching something that's animated versus something that's live action, there is a difference of sorts. It could be things that intertwine together, but because it's formatted differently, it makes people just look at it differently psychologically. I know the commander very big into Star Wars, right? And he's not really so happy about the direction of Star Wars, but very big on it was the Clone Wars and Rebels.
The Clone Wars, Rebels.
And these are canon, correct?
Yeah,
So
correct.
this is canon stuff, but it intertwines with the live action events of Star Wars. Now, I don't know how he sees it. He may see it as it's almost like the same, but how I see Star Wars is my perspective is a little different. I know that these animated shows exist, but I don't really invest in those animated shows. So really what I'm looking at is just the cinematic universe of Star Wars. And so when I look at the animated shows, I understand that they're canon, but I don't hold them to the same level. That's just the psychological difference. Everybody's different. Noveske, how do you look at animated versus live action? Do you put them on the same level and when viewership and as far as the events that coincide?
So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the DCU in the sense that canon will remain the same, but it could jump back and forth between live action and animated. I think that does a lot for storytelling. You don't have to spend, this crazy big budget just to kind of fill in the lore. Like, you can have kind of a side story.
Put on business.
Doesn't have a whole lot of. I mean, I would almost say like if it's animated, have fun with it. It doesn't need to be like the most groundbreaking, crazy story, but it's like just give us that background. We want to know about these characters, so when they do show up again in a movie, we know a little bit more about them.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Commander? Do you think, as far as their approach to it, and then talk a little bit about how you look at Star Wars like that, because there's obviously a lot of material on both ends.
Yeah, so I think you can show so much more in cartoons. There's so much less oversight. You can actually make the story you want to make. And then, like for the Star Wars, the Clone Wars, especially with force powers in general, to actually be able to show these force powers, you're able to show Darth Maul having a goddamn hallway scene.
Yeah.
It just looks phenomenal. It's it's too much money to do a live action.
Yeah.
So you're able to show like these characters be the characters.
Right. You have the freedom for half the price, basically. Would you like
Yeah.
to see that with DC?
Oh yeah, I'd love to see a little mix of both.
I would like to see an animated version of Peacemaker. I think that would be funny. Like, you know what I mean?
Pretty over the top.
Yeah, but I feel like it works for the animated format.
I mean, whatever they do with Peacemaker, that's no problem.
Yeah, they've already established it.
Cena's done it.
Yeah.
It'll happen eventually.
Cena doing voice work for that. That'd be kind of cool.
I think it'd be cool to see him in these cartoons as like an extra character.
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
Like
it's like let's put an eagle in the booth. Let's get some real noises here. Eagle needs to be animated.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I've never wanted an eagle so bad in my life. Let's make this real. You know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, I mean, we covered a lot there, really, as far as DC. More to come out, obviously, but I think as far as what we know right now, we've covered a lot of bases. What's happening right now with Superman, I think it's aiming to cross 400 million this weekend. I'm going to be watching the film again. I know Noveski's going to be watching it again today as well. And so we're going to see where that tops out. Obviously, I think it's going to be in theater for at least another, I'd say a month, to be honest, before it goes to streaming. And so that gives them a lot of time to just make as much money as possible, right? We have Marvel dropping Fantastic Four in a couple weeks, so that's going to be interesting to see that dynamic. And Jurassic World Rebirth is still getting numbers. So that's going to be very interesting just to see with those three in July. Very action-packed July there. And I think for the time that we're in as far as Superman just releasing the new DC starting at this point in time, we've covered a lot of bases relatively. Now, this is going to be the last thing we talk about. Going to be pretty quick, and then we're going to wrap it up into our next conversation. Let's talk about just ideas as far as projects that we don't know are happening, but that you want to see. I'll go out there, throw my hat on the table, and I'll say Martian Manhunter, played by Idris Elba. I think that would be a very good casting, and I think that character lends a lot to this universe. Noveske, what do you have?
Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. There's going to be hate to this, but I'm a believer in redemption. So, for the DCU, I think they need to undo some of the evils of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. We need to bring in Brainiac. We can introduce that whole mind control element. You get that Civil War fighting scenes, all of that fun stuff. Just don't ruin it like they did before. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would be interesting to see Superman as an adversary for some of these guys, but not quite, mix it up a little bit. Brainiac makes a little bit more sense, and then that's kind of a big bad for later on. But that might mix things up. It's like we want to watch these superheroes fight, but let's at least try to change that story a little bit.
I agree. What do you got, Commander?
Oh man, I would love to see Swamp Thing, what they do with Swamp Thing, as well as like Solomon Grundy. Both their powers come from the Earth, the planet, and just to see this overwhelming natural beings. Just how cool that would be. I think it'd be great if I'm really interested in what they do with the Hawkgirl and Hawkman, because their stories are really great. I wonder if they're going the alien route, because I actually really enjoy the alien route, that they're just really powered. They're just the race of powerful beings.
Correct.
But then there's also the reincarnation route, where Hawkman and Hawkgirl just keep on getting killed and revived.
Okay.
And that route, in the Justice League Unlimited, they went with Jon Stewart was also part of that, so they can definitely tie that in.
Right, especially with the lanterns.
Yeah, as well as I'd love to see live action Vandal Savage.
Oof.
Because, in that he was killing them over and over again. So, I'm very interested in what route they go with those characters.
Interesting. So, ladies and gents, we've covered a lot right now, as I said, as far as the information that we have. And moving forward, we'll be getting more information. And we'll be speaking about this quite frequently, to be honest. We're going to cover basically this 10-year plan if we have to. It's very cool to actually see it happen in real time and then commentate and speak on it while we are watching and enjoying it. But yeah, this is our first shot at what's going on with James Gunn's DC, obviously Peter Safran involved, and David Zaslav. Another element too, before we get out of here, that could not shake things up in a negative way, but how long is David Zaslav going to be around as the CEO of Warner Brothers? You know what I mean? That could change things too. But like I said, as far as just keeping it with DC, I think things are at a good start. Matt Reeves turned in that Batman 2 script. We're at a good place right now. Let's see what they do with the rest of these characters. I know they're actively searching out Wonder Woman right now as far as casting goes. And that's kind of pretty much all we have as far as big movies. We know that the Clayface stuff is in development right now as well. That's going to be very grounded, right? So that's going to be very interesting overall. But like I said, we will definitely be getting to that point in time. Anybody else have anything else they want to say?
We're doing good. Let's see Sydney Sweeney be cast as Batman. That'll be a good time. Yeah.
Sydney,
We all want it. We all want
Sydney
it.
Sweeney is Aquaman. She's got the hair.
Yeah, she does have the hair.
Perfect.
All right, ladies and gents, please comment down below what you thought about this conversation. Like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. Also, ring the bell for notifications if you've already subscribed and not rung that bell. Also, let some friends, family, and colleagues know to subscribe as well. It definitely helps out the channel, and I appreciate your support. With that being said, it's Neff signing off. Be safe.